Kristen.
Hi, Kevin.
How are you?
Great, now that we're back.
I know it's been 2 weeks, 2 crazy weeks.
Has it been 2 weeks? It feels like months.
No, just 2 weeks. So 2 weeks ago, we had the EXO Marriage Conference at church.
Yes, and it was great.
It was, except that week was crazy. So we decided we weren't going to do the podcast that week because time, everything we were trying to get in place and everything. And
we also decided that no matter what, we were not going to fight that week.
Yeah, we did. We said,
remember?
Yeah, because it seems like every time we go to do any kind of event or we're leading something or anything,
something big hinging on us doing something.
Yeah, Satan says, "Oh, hold on, let me right in here between you two and get right in there."
Yeah, he makes me seem like I'm an annoying person to you or something.
I mean, okay.
And he accentuates your flaws to me.
Oh, all right. Huh. Funny thing is, we're not the only ones that we know. A lot of people who will say the same thing, like pastors, different people who speak at events and do these kind of things. That that's when the devil gets in there because he doesn't want you to say what you have to say. Mm-hmm. So we did that, and we were on our way to set up on Thursday, and I literally felt like death
because the night before
I had the flu. You
ate something bad.
I did. I thought I ate something bad to begin with, and it was a miserable Wednesday night. And then Thursday morning, I'm like, all right, whatever. This is going to get done. And I remember we were coming down the street, and I said, we talked about fighting. We prayed not to fight. We made sure we weren't going to fight.
We prayed all week. We're like, we're not fighting because last year,
or any of our team or anybody having anything to do with the production. It's like, listen, we're just not going to do this.
Last year, we were like fighting for like a full month and a half before.
Yeah.
Like, we were I don't think we felt as attacked than that month and a half before. Like, we were like, we're not doing this. We're not equipped. Da, da, da.
So this year we were on top of it.
We were ready.
We got this, and we were feeling good until I wasn't. And I remember we were getting ready to turn into church, and I had to say, I was like, you know what? If I can't do this, you got it.
And I was fine. And I'm like, you know what? You'll be fine. We're going to set up, and we're going to be fine. And I figured it would just pass by as the day. So you sat, we got everything together.
10 o'clock in the morning, we're starting that. I feel like
it was a full day of prep. Like, this was the day.
Later in the afternoon, I'm feeling a little better. We leave, and we get in the car to go grab something to eat because we hadn't eaten all day. And you said, oh, I don't feel good.
Yeah, so like about an hour and a half before that, we were going to go do a sound check, and right before we had to go to get on stage, I was like, oh, my stomach. And then I'm thinking, this wasn't something he ate. Like, we both have something. So we did that.
So we went and got something to eat. We came home and literally went to bed. The EXO day was also my birthday, my 50th birthday.
Yes.
So
happy birthday.
That was a week and a half ago, but thank you. But so it was my birthday. So our daughter, our youngest, comes in because she hadn't seen us all day, and she knew she wouldn't see us the next day because of everything going on.
And it was 9 o'clock.
To give me a present at 9 o'clock, and I literally felt like death again. And
we were in bed since 6 since we got home.
I'm like falling asleep, talking to her, and felt awful.
Sad.
I laid there and did not move till 8 o'clock the next morning. Like, physically didn't move. And I toss and turn every night from side to side. I did not move.
No. And I was up all night in the bathroom. It was terrible.
So Friday morning, I feel better. I mean, not 100%, but I'm feeling a whole lot better.
I'm still not feeling great.
And, but Friday at 6:30
at go time for the conference,
and it's amazing. We had about 200 people, and
God moved. God showed up
in crazy ways through the people, through the messages, through everything. Saturday morning, same thing, really, really good. We had some breakouts, different stuff. An amazing weekend. Just the stories that we're hearing and the things we've seen and heard. It's just amazing what God has done through that. it came back on you again on Saturday.
Yeah, God put a pause on my stomach bug until Saturday at the conference, and I just muscled through, and then we went to bed after the conference for
Yeah.
what feels like eternity because
Well, we went
that
to
was a
dinner the
lot.
next night because
Oh, actually,
my
that
birthday.
night it was his birthday, and I was feeling yucky, but we had dinner with the whole family, the
Yeah.
kids,
So we
the
made it through.
boyfriends. We made it through.
made it
and
to church the next morning, and then that literally was it.
Then that was it.
So last week we spent like kind of recuperating, and this stupid
Because we're
thing-
old. Like, I feel old.
Yeah, I'm 50. That is old.
I'm not 50, but
You're
I feel
almost there.
old.
But last week it was crazy because like every time I thought I felt better, it would come back.
I know.
And still, even to today, I'm not 100%,
Not 100%,
and it's like
yeah.
crazy. So when you pray for the things that you think about, don't worry, the devil's got the things that you didn't think about.
It's okay.
And that's
God's
kinda-
stronger, and he pushed us through.
Absolutely. God made it all possible. It had nothing to do with us. We just like showed up.
And there
He
were
made
some
it okay.
amazing messages. We had Joshua Broom, who used to be a porn star, and he is a pastor. And just listening to him speak and the story of grace and God delivering him into a beautiful marriage and a beautiful
4 kids and
boys. Like, that whole thing is amazing. We had JP Pokluda, who talked about how so many marriages get stuck and ways to bring them unstuck.
yeah, going from the stuck to the unstuck, and it's things you got to learn and do, and you just can't get yourself out sometimes. You got to get some help there to get out.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy Evans, who always talks about priorities
Yep.
and things to do to make your spouse a priority.
Yep.
And just so many others. I mean, it was a really good,
Yeah.
really good weekend.
It was really good. And like I said, the stories we heard come out of it were great. And just marriages strengthened. And even last night we kicked off our Monday couples group with 16 couples, which is crazy. But we had multiple people come up to us who were at EXO and just share some of the stuff they'd learned
And how God's working.
yeah, how God's working in those things. And the thing that we do always say at these kind of events, and we try to make it known from the stage too, or even if we're doing a retreat or whatever, you can't take everything in and use it. You've got to take a couple things away that you think will work for you
Yeah.
and focus on those things. And last night I had guys telling me about those couple things they had taken
Yeah.
away, and it had just made such a difference in, there would be like an argument or a fight coming and just diffusing the whole thing and just stopping it before it started.
Yeah.
And
that really-
so much really, really good
Yeah.
stuff. And that's why we always talk about, now you need to take time to intentionally work on your marriage at least once a year, a weekend, whatever it is.
Yep. That's
Marriage
what
conference, retreat, go through a book together, do something intentional to work on your marriage.
And there's so many things out there that you can use.
Yeah.
Like, you can do we've spoken about this before, but you can do a vision retreat by just buying a book and secluding yourself with your spouse and going through the led book.
Yeah.
Or you can go to a conference, which is all taken care of, put on, and you just sit there and let God speak into you. Or you can do something more interactive, which is like an actual weekend, like a couples camp or a retreat where you're actually going somewhere and doing more activity-based things. So like there are just a gamut of things. But I did want to say yesterday when we did our kickoff to our group, we went around and we didn't start the book yet. So it was just like the first
Get to know you.
Welcome
new people.
Welcome.
And
So you asked, what's your favorite date or favorite date night? And I thought, oh, this is going to be a cool question because we can get different ideas and we'll go around the room and get perspective. But you know what I was thinking as I was listening to everybody talk, because it really did run the gamut. So you and I think we're at an age in a season in our life.
Are you calling me old?
Yes, where we are fortunate to be able to do date night often.
Yeah.
Like,
Weekly.
We do weekly, and we protect that weekly. But
Actually, we do like twice a week now because we've been on this Taco Tuesday.
right,
kick.
so that's what I was going to say. But like, we would take our kids if they wanted to go with us. Like, we've invited them with us.
Yeah.
So it's not like, but it turns out to be a date because they don't ever go with us.
Yeah.
So
Taco
we
Tuesday.
do so much that we end up doing more quality time things together.
Mm-hmm.
Like on Saturday,
Yeah.
we drove and looked at birds and looked at animals, and we spent the whole
We
day
really didn't
together.
see, the idea was to go birding and see birds, but the weather, so for my birthday, my wonderful wife got me these awesome Maven binoculars so we can go look at birds.
That Kevin picked out.
And we have been doing that. So I got her a pair of binoculars
Mm-hmm.
last week too. So we've been doing this birding thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's bird watching when you just sit there and wait for birds to come to you. How boring can that be?
No, but it's not
But
exactly
birding,
boring.
You actually go find
Okay.
the bird. So it's much more of an adventure. But this
So
time,
you're saying you're a birder, not a bird watcher.
yes, this time of the year in Western New York's crazy because of all the migration and everything. And we've seen so many different kinds of ducks and
Eagles.
geese.
The eagles.
There are eagles everywhere, and any
The
kind of
baby
hawk you
eagle
can
we saw.
imagine, and the falcons, and even the turkey vultures, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's kind of migrating right now, and they have the Hawk Watch, which I think it's like 20,000 birds of prey come through Western New York at this time of the year. Within about a month period, there's like 20,000 birds of prey that come through. It's crazy. So pretty much anywhere you go, you look up, you're going to see birds. You're going to see big
birds.
And, you know, the little birds are starting to come. So we've got them all around and everything. But last Saturday, I was like, oh, well, they've got this owl thing. And we've always liked owls. So we're like, oh, let's go see the owl.
I want to go see owls in nature,
Yeah. So they had this owl thing.
but we never do.
No, they're elusive.
Yeah.
So
loose.
we go over and there's this big bird store called the Bird House in Rochester. We go there and they have this
Animal fair thing.
wild animal thing where they had this little fox who was like Chihuahua sized
Teeny.
sleeping in some guy's arm and you could pet him and stuff. They had these big nasty cockroaches.
Yeah, I didn't look at him.
They had this thing that I couldn't tell you what it is.
Hedgehog.
It looked like a hedgehog.
But
I
they
was
told
corrected
us-
quickly. It is not a hedgehog. It is more related to an elephant. I'm like, it's literally this
It looks
big
like a
and
hedgehog.
looks like
It's a
a
teeny
hedgehog.
tiny little
I don't get
hedgehoggy
elephant,
guy.
but whatever it may be.
The
They had this
lady-
really cool owl. He was big, but she said he was only like 3 pounds, but he was like
He
was
looks
monster
I mean,
looking.
3 pounds. I doubt. Like he looked like he was 30 pounds.
and the eyes were amazing.
Huge.
His eyes were the size of 3% of his body. They were
Yeah.
just big gold eyes, and he turned his head, and he was so cool. And they had a
You're
monitor
The
thing,
best for last. I
and they
think.
had my wife's favorite animal,
My favorite, all-time favorite animal was there,
an armadillo.
an armadillo.
And he was running around all around, and the guy was telling us all
He
about
was
him.
so fun. So that was really the highlight of Saturday, the armadillo.
So when we walk in this place, it's 53 degrees. We know
Outside.
Yeah, not inside. It was like 70 inside. But it's 53 degrees. We know that it's supposed to get a little colder, and yeah, it's Buffalo, Rochester, it's Western New York. It can be all 4 seasons in a day, and it was.
In spring, in
It-
springtime usually.
It's spring, fall, winter,
for real in
sometimes
spring.
even
But
in
for-
summer.
But for real,
It
in
can
spring.
it can run the gamut. So we leave there. We're like, all right, let's go up. So the Hawks or the Hawk Watch and the Owls are on Braddock Bay, which is about less than 30 minutes away. It's right on Lake Ontario. We go up there, and literally by the time we get there, it is 31 and snowing. And it's like,
We didn't
okay,
really
it was
get
just
out.
53. And Kristen's foot's still hurting a little bit from her
My
accident.
injury.
So we go up there, but we went up there, looked around. We rode all the way back the top of Lake Ontario, or the bottom of Lake Ontario.
Yes.
The top of New York, bottom of
New York.
Ontario, all the way back to Wilson, and then come back down because we had an eye doctor's appointment. But we spent the day just looking at things. We found
And-
we went there. We looked at a couple parks, which were really cool.
Like
And
ideas for
we
the
took
summer.
the back roads. One of the roads was closed, so we're taking back roads. We found an Amish store,
It was
like
very cool.
real Amish store, gas lights, which is
Mm-hmm.
actually funny because it's the second one I have found in New York with gas lights.
Oh yeah, the other
Of
by
all the
Syracuse,
times I've
right?
been to Pennsylvania, to Lancaster, to Dutch country down there and everything, like from the time I was little, and we still go there. If we're coming near, we will stop. I've never seen the gas lights in the stores, like no electricity. The only electricity in the place runs refrigerators and freezers,
Mhm.
and the gas lights are in it. Really cool, amazing donuts, but lots of cool stuff. Just riding the back roads and finding different things. So it
And
was
remember,
really, really
they
cool.
had really good deals on the Adirondack chairs.
Yeah, they had all the Amish furniture that was really good deals.
So that was like an hour from the house. That was a fun find. And
Yeah.
I enjoy the Saturday trips because usually the girls don't, I mean, not because the girls don't want to go with us, but the girls don't want to go with us. So,
Because they know when we
Yes.
leave, we're gone
right. So
for the day.
we are okay just seeing where the day takes us.
Yeah.
And then also, and I know I've said this before, I don't like just wandering all the time, but I feel good about wandering on Saturday because I know on Sunday we're Sabbathing and we're laying low
Yes, you
on
got your
Sunday
nap.
and we have a rest day and I nap and we have church and then we're just here and we have dinner here.
Mhm.
And if the kids are here. So I feel like Saturday is a good adventure day, right?
Yeah.
And so when he said, well, let's just drive back, let's not take the throughway, I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we saw
just
different
seeing what we
stuff and
see.
doing
We
stuff. And
We saw the turkey vultures. We saw
oh
this
yeah, we
fox
we saw
running
these
across
crazy,
the road.
big, huge turkey vultures eating something. There
Yeah.
really wasn't enough left for us to figure out what it was.
We took some
But they were
pictures.
enjoying whatever it was they were eating. Yeah, we're on another back road, and the fox just comes like flying across the road. He
was
kind of slows
really
down
cool.
enough for us to get a look at him on the other side and
I
stuff.
think
but
fox
he had
are
a great
beautiful.
big bushy tail.
Yep. So the point of all of this is that I find us fortunate in this season to be able to have so many
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to
Mhm.
have, because I mean, I consider that whole day like a date day. Like we
Yeah.
literally was just the two of us. We had no agenda. We just enjoyed driving and looking out the window and
Yeah, we went to
stopping.
we
when
had we had a
stopped.
romantic breakfast at the truck stop.
Oh yeah, I was like, where did we stop for breakfast? Either way, so
And then we ended up finding a great new place for dinner that we have driven by hundreds of times and went in and they had this awesome dinner special for $35.
yeah. Anyway, so the day was
So
great.
It was really good.
So getting back to my whole point with
You have
this,
a point?
yeah, there was a point.
Oh, okay.
Was that as I'm listening to the couples in our group on
Mhm.
Monday discuss their date, I realized that not everyone is in that season. And for us to say dating is important, which it is, I'm not
Mhm.
saying it's not. I also want to stress that it needs to be very flexible to fit
Yeah.
your lifestyle, because we had heard so many stories about people who can't get away because of kids with high needs or
Little kids
little kids
or grandkids.
health issues
Yeah.
or so many. And these people were making it a point to work on their marriage at our group, and they were there, which is like, to me, I'm sitting there like just in awe thinking, I don't want us to be like, oh, we have all this free time, so you guys have to do it too.
Mhm.
It sort of defeats the purpose. So I think that we also sometimes need to bring it back and say, well, what is the goal behind a date? Like, what is our goal? And our goal should be to connect and enjoy each other with no distractions, or
Yeah.
with, like, I mean, obviously there's life, so with minimal distractions. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if somebody calls us, obviously, if there's an emergency.
Airplane mode.
Okay, but my point is, like, what is the goal behind it? To
Yeah.
keep the connection, to keep communication, and to put that in. So I think that people can do that if they make an effort to do that regularly.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like
You don't have to spend the day in Rochester.
Yeah, and we are actually blessed to be able to, most every Friday we go out. Most every Friday we go to dinner. A lot of times we may just go walk around a store, or I mean, we do lots of different
I loved
find
the summer
birds,
times when
go for a walk,
Yeah,
go by the water.
remember when we
Bonus,
would bike
eat dinner at the water. Yeah, take bikes or something
take
like
the kayaks just right at the end of the street.
that. Yeah.
That to me is one of probably our favorite my favorite time with you ever is just going to the end of the street and kayaking around.
Yeah. So,
I mean, we have water at the end of our street. It's not like we're just bringing the kayak.
yes, we have the Niagara River. But when we say date night, we don't mean that you have to go on what would be a traditional date. And I think a lot of people hear that and it's like, oh, I can't do that. I don't have the time. Different seasons, we don't have the money. We don't have a babysitter. Our schedules are it just won't work.
But
like
the
we're fighting,
is the most important.
Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But you can make a date out of anything. You can make the date out of going to the grocery store something you have to do, and still make it into a date and have a good time.
Yes.
You can, put the kids to bed, sit by the fire, or just sit in your bedroom,
or make a
sit
campfire
wherever,
outside.
play a game.
Yes.
Just like relax and talk.
Or after dinner, go for a walk.
Yeah, go for a walk. The weather, thankfully, hopefully, let's see, it's only in March. So by mid-May.
March is almost done.
Do you remember when my cousin came up from Virginia and we went to meet them in Canada?
Mm-hmm.
We went over to Niagara Falls, which literally is 10 minutes from our house, Canada. And we met them at the Flying Saucer restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first week in May, and it was snowing.
I didn't remember when it was. So
it was the first week in May, and it was snowing. So my cousins from Virginia are like, what in the world is this? So yeah, we've got till I think by mid-May, I am pretty secure that it's probably not going to snow anymore here in Buffalo, and we're good till October, maybe. Let's not push it. Let's say September.
Not September.
Late September.
You're being silly.
So you may have mid-May till late September.
Fall is gorgeous lately. Our fall has been long summer, gorgeous.
But
We've had wonderful.
Take advantage of the time outside. And you know what? If you got little kids, take them. Kids fall asleep when you're outside. They get tired really, really easy. Throw them in a stroller, throw them in a wagon. It's all good. You know what else? I remember with ours, they fell asleep in the car too.
That's what I was going to say.
Go for a ride. Kids go to sleep, park somewhere, talk, do whatever. But there are ways that you can take advantage of this. Another thing, we actually had some people we've been talking to that have going through some issues. Mm-hmm. And they said they keep trying to do the date night, but all they do is fight. And it's like, wait a minute. That's not what date night's about. You have to set those boundaries to make sure that date night is a positive experience. You don't ambush somebody on date night. You don't bring up things that you know are going to cause a fight on date night. Sometimes we have to bite our tongue because something may be said intentionally or unintentionally that would provoke a response, but we have to be the better person to say, you know what, I'm not doing that. Because a lot of times it is unintentional. And I know with us, one of us can say something and the other one can just take it the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And
I think we're both strong-willed.
That's not good. And that, but I honestly cannot tell you the last time we did that on date night. We guard that time very seriously. Not driving in the car to work in the morning. That one can be rough sometimes.
Because you're in a bad mood in the morning. I realize that. You're in a bad mood.
I need quiet in the morning.
I almost think it's
I can be a morning
easier for me to drive without you.
I can be a morning person, but I'm probably not the most pleasant morning person.
Yeah, I don't actually like being
that's the only
in the morning.
time. That's the only time I'm just like, we just need some quiet. You know? I know. I'm sorry.
I know.
I can't.
But I will say you do a great job at protecting those places that we're not allowed to fight. And I'm not saying like be allowed to fight here, but like those
No. If there's
never fight
if
here.
there's
So like the bed, you know how sometimes I don't even. So good point that the two of us think differently about what we're saying. And if I say something and I don't mean it in a bad way, but you're going to take it in a bad way, or you know that it could lead us somewhere. For example, a topic like money. And I think I said something like, hey, what do we have to pay this week or something? Which really that's not a starting an issue. That's just a talking. And you were like, we're not going to talk about that in bed.
Yeah.
But you squash it. So I think you do a good job at being intentional about not hitting a topic that could lead us somewhere. So whether it's date night or like in bed,
I think those are two really important ones. I think the date night we've talked about almost ad nauseum, that, you know what, this needs to be a happy thing. Don't fight. Choose not to fight. Do everything you can not to do it. You know what? Fake it till you make it. Like, just sit there and smile at one another. And, you know, it's one of those things where emotions follow action.
Yeah.
And you know what? You may like be aggravated from something, and that's okay. But just showing up and showing your spouse that, you know what, I might be aggravated about something, but I care about our relationship and I want to work in the proper direction, and I want us to grow closer to each other, and I care about you and I want to know more about you.
And listen.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if, like, I don't know if you notice, but you know how sometimes I have a hard time focusing.
Yes.
And listening.
Yes.
Fully.
Yes.
So I try and be very intentional on date. Like if we do that, I'm not
you're not on your phone
in stuff or reading a book or like.
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah. So my point is, like, don't fight and be engaged.
Yeah. The other part two of that, bed, you know, the Bible says, you know, do not defile the marriage bed. It really does. And when we think of that, a lot of times we think of it with like sex and things like that, like bringing someone else into our bedroom or cheating or whatever it is. Which obviously it could be, but I think there's so much more to that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the ways that we often defile it, actually there's a few, but one of the ways we often defile it is by bringing that animosity, bringing an argument into bed, bringing things there that are not going to bring you together. They're actually going to drive you apart. And that's one of them. Another one that we changed in the Lenten season was the TV. We unplugged the TV in our bedroom.
I was just telling someone at work about this.
And, you know...
Well, you made the decision. I can't take any credit for that.
I did, but, you know...
you didn't have a TV problem. So we didn't have... Like, let's do this.
Like, literally, we're watching, like, YouTube cat videos and... like wild cats,
but you went
crazy stuff. But
an extra mile. You didn't just say TV. You said all electronics.
Yeah, all electronics. But I think with that, you know, when we have the TV on, and I don't care, you know, people are like, oh, you know, one of the things we do, like our downtime, we'll binge watch a show together. We'll do this and that. When we do that in bed, we're inviting every one of those people into our bedroom.
Oh.
The other side of that, most of the time, the things that we're watching, we're also inviting every commercial and all that other stuff into our bed. And most of that stuff is not good stuff. And I'm not talking about necessarily what you're watching, but I'm talking about all the stuff around it, the ads that are targeted to you and everything like that, that are targeted to you that at best are distractions. At worst are putting things in your mind that just don't need to be there at that time.
How many times do you go to sleep and you dream about the last thing you saw?
Yeah, or you can't go to sleep because you've been watching the stuff.
I can go to sleep.
Well, you can go to sleep anytime. But like you've got something in your mind and you're thinking about it, or just the blue light has got you wired so you can't fall asleep or something like that.
I do feel more at peace. Like I feel like there's almost a buzzing because of the TV, like your head is a little headachy.
Yeah. So, I mean, that I think that's just another way we defile the marriage bed. Now, I'm not telling you, I'm not telling everybody to cut the TV out of your room.
Forever, either.
That's completely up to you. But I'll tell you this, try it. Give it a week. Take it out. Just unplug it for a week. Take a break. Spend that time talking to one another. Read a book.
That was nice. When we started to, we sat down and we read our own books too.
Yeah.
We were just like, we'll just read a book.
Read a book. Listen to a book. Put one on Audible. Listen to it.
Together, yeah.
Together.
So,
that'll foster conversation.
You started talking about that. I just want to take a step before that. So when we're talking about different ideas to connect and different ideas for date night,
mm-hmm.
bedtime is actually a great time no matter the season usually, because everybody sleeps, right? So you're taking care of older parents, they will sleep at some point. You're taking care of babies, they will sleep at some point. Animals, whatever. So my point is...
Cats don't sleep.
It doesn't matter. They don't bother us. So my point is you have a bedtime usually. I realize there's seasons for little babies. Okay. So why not use that to your benefit and make sure the two of you are going to bed together?
Yeah.
Like, don't use that time as, I'm going to run downstairs, I'm going to finish a load of laundry, I'm going to do this. Yeah, just stop, let it go. It'll be there. That'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And don't go to bed, turn off the light, turn your back, and go to sleep. There's times for that, when depending on that's what I'm saying. There's times for that.
Exhausted.
Depending on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But have a conversation.
Yeah.
That's a safe zone. So just have a conversation. It can be a meaningless conversation. You can talk about a dream of moving somewhere when you're old, or doing this, or going on vacation here, whatever it may be. That's okay. It doesn't have to be super heavy, but it's also a place that can be heavy.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about something God's doing in your heart, or what's he calling you guys to do? What
pray
is it?
together. Start praying together.
Pray together.
It's a great place to pray together.
Pray together every night. Try that one. That's a great one.
I just think
if you're not doing that,
you at the end
absolutely.
of the day. It just brings you together.
Yeah. But make that a sacred space. Make it a space of happiness. Date night, same thing. It's a sacred space. Don't let a million people distract you. Don't let your phone drive you crazy. Don't look at your phone. I mean, if there's an emergency, whatever, you got little kids, I get it. But if you've got teenagers who just can't stop, which we've been there, it's okay. They're not going to die. They'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got parents that are calling aggravating you to death, they'll be okay. I mean, you're talking an hour or two. It's okay.
But you're also talking about at bedtime, you can adjust that from 11 o'clock to 10. You can slowly adjust that. It's you've got the bandwidth to make those boundaries.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Your phone can go off at 30 minutes earlier, and then you have 30 more minutes with your spouse.
And you know what? There will be those nights that you both just fall asleep.
And that's okay because
together.
you have every night.
Because,
and then one's not downstairs playing video games, and one's I can't even imagine the disconnect. So when people say, they got old and they didn't know who they were married to anymore, it's all these little things that add into that. And it doesn't have to be big changes. It can be little changes, but they're so beneficial when you add them all up over the long run.
Yeah.
But the point of bringing up the whole date nights is, yes, it is important, but I think what is even more important is what you're getting out of it.
Yeah.
The conversation, the connection, and the togetherness.
Yep.
So if your date nights aren't traditional, or if you listen to us talk about date nights and are like, well, I can't, that's not me. I can't do that. That's great for them, but I can't do that. Don't let our conversation on date nights make you throw the towel in.
Mm-hmm.
Find out how you can make it work. Work to make it work for you.
Yeah. And let me say this. If you're not having date nights, it can be a little awkward to start. And actually, one of the EXO speakers talked about the awkward. Embracing the awkward. And sometimes we need to do that because you know what? If Chris and I are in a different place and our relationship is not great, but we're both deciding, we're going to work on this and stuff like that, those date nights are going to be a little awkward to start. It's like, okay, let's go just me and you. Especially like when we started, we'd never done this.
I remember when the kids were little and we would go on a date night and we had really not a whole lot to talk about except the babies because they were babies. Yeah. And that was all like, how you're focused. Like you're all in. There's no other thing. Yeah. But like, that's okay. That's your life right there.
Yeah. But like, so when we started this date night thing, it was a little awkward. Like, I think we had decided, we're going to work on our marriage and this is one of the things we think is important and we're going to do it. And we've talked about before how like our girls thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
Your mom thought we were crazy. Yeah. It's like, who does this? People don't do this and everything. People do it. It's okay. But I remember it was a little awkward at first to like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? Where are we going to go? What is this? But, it was awkward the first time. It was a little less awkward the second time. But third, fourth, maybe fifth time, it's not awkward anymore. Like going to dinner together, actively engaging and talking to one another. If you do it a few times, it's not awkward. It's okay. And we have to embrace those awkward things.
Where you do just sit a little bit and you have some comfortable silence during dinner. That's okay too.
Because I will tell you on the other side of date night now, like 4 years truly into date night.
Like regularly.
Like regularly, almost every Friday. Yeah, for about 4.5 years. Mm-hmm. You are also more aware of what's going on around you. And when you sit there and you look and you see a couple where they're both just sitting there on the phone, and then it's even worse because they got kids. You got a little kid and they got an iPad in front of them and another kid and nobody's even talking to each other.
I really
through
try.
A whole meal.
I mean, it does happen more often than not, but I do try and give some people the benefit of the doubt because I do realize sometimes you've just had a really long day. The kids are screaming. You are exhausted and you just can't make another meal at home and everybody's out and you're like, it's fine. We're just going to sit. So I try and give some people grace, but it's easy to be overly judgy, I think, because it's happened so often. Like you see it a lot. And I'm sure that's not everyone's story. Some people, they just don't know how to talk anymore. So
and that's more what I was getting to.
Yeah.
That, you know what, like embrace the awkward talk. Like our girls, they can talk, they can text to death. One of them calls regularly. The other one's a little bit. They will engage with us to a conversation when they want to.
But that's every teenager.
And hold on. And then some of them are in their 20s. And then they will respond to us sometimes. But if you are in public and there is a stranger, doesn't even have to be a stranger, someone who they don't see that often or whatever, it takes almost an act of God for them to actively engage in a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like,
no,
hey,
you're right about that.
I'm going to my friend's house. Okay, will you drive me? Sure. Pull up. Oh, what do I do? What do you mean, what do you do? Well,
we've
the door's
lost
not open.
The art of conversation.
Ring the doorbell. What? No, what do you mean ring? Do you want me to walk you to the door? I have no problem ringing the door. No. Oh, okay, they're coming right out. You can't walk up to a door and say, oh, I'm here. I'm spending the night, but I can't even
But it is a acquired talent. I think that we just have lost the art of conversation because they just don't practice it enough.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's also our responsibility to engage them in conversations. And our oldest, as she is navigating through life, is understanding the necessity for conversation. Like she can have conversations with strangers and have these conversations.
Well, she's going to be a lawyer, so she better be able to have a conversation.
Yes. So my point is, as you are placed in life, you are going to open up to that. But it would be great if we would engage when they're younger. So
Yeah, and even beyond that, I mean, we see people like you at work, especially, and things like that, and me in different environments. Like there are people like adults that cannot look you in the eye and have a conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something that 20, 30 years ago, before these, like that was the way of life.
That's an art too. I think men have a harder time looking people in the eye. I think women have an easier time. When you and I first met, you never engaged in the eye.
My eyes were looking at everybody
It was
else.
the first thing my mom noticed about you is that you wouldn't look her in the eye when you were having a conversation. So I think that is a art, and now you are such a conversationalist, but you've really like worked on that through the years and years of like you're an older man.
Got my second AARP card in the mail.
You
today.
did. But we're going on a tangent. Conversations, yes, very important. But I think that is definitely a basis of why you want to do the date.
Yeah.
Converse.
Absolutely, because you want to keep that connection on a regular basis. Like we say weekly, because I think that is a good cadence. And like I said, you
And
don't
even if
you don't
you're not
have
going
to
out, how can you
don't
not-
have to go out.
Right. Save
But
that
I
time.
think having a hour or two where you dedicate
Pre-decided.
to talking to one another
Yeah.
every week is realistic.
Yeah.
And I think you touch base every day for maybe it's an hour every day. A lot of times
Maybe it's
it's
your
not.
time before
Maybe it's
bed.
10 minutes, 15 minutes. Maybe it's that downtime before bed
Or
where you're not
15
having
minutes
a
early in the
crazy
morning.
deep conversation, but you're like they're engaged with
If you don't
one
have
another.
a grumpy husband in the morning.
And then, you can touch each other. That's good too. It doesn't have to be a sexual touch, but just like that closeness, that's another layer to it.
Yeah.
That, you can use these different things to your advantage and they will all bring you closer on different levels. And that's really, really important.
And the thing I did think of, so while we say, give yourself grace and watch the season you're in, and your season is not going to last forever, right? The
No.
kids are going to grow old enough that you can leave them. So that don't use that as a crutch. Like, oh, we're still got to be. No, now you can do different things. But you have said this before, and I think it's a good spot to reiterate that men are more prone to open up and speak when you're doing an activity together, when you've got like something you are working on or working toward. It could be fun. It could be bowling. It could be going for a walk. It could be birding. It could be shooting arrows at something. I mean, it could be
Shoot anything.
whatever. I'm not shooting anything at all. But my point is that is another benefit that wives will have to engage with their husbands who will be active
Yeah.
and communicative while they are active.
Yeah. They're going to engage a lot more, in that shoulder to shoulder
Right.
than
doing
if you're
something.
like just staring them down. And parents, this is the same with your kids. If you just sit them down like, oh, how was your day? What did you do? Blah, blah, blah.
Nothing.
They're not going to answer you. Every once in a while they
Mm-hmm.
will, but for the most part, they're not going to answer you. I, as the one who drive our last school-aged one to school and pick her up almost every day, that literal 5 minutes, sometimes I get more out of her in that 5 minutes than I do in a day.
See? And you didn't want to drive them.
And, it really does. And then even the other ones, the bigger ones, like they will, like I've taken one of them to work a lot recently and I'll take her. And yesterday, that girl has I can't tell you the last time she talked so much and just told me every little detail and stuff about her day. I remember when Sky was in high school and I would drive her to Sacred Heart every morning and we would stop at the bakery on our way. And every morning we had great conversations and stuff. So, if your kids are littler, that time will come for you. Take advantage of it.
Usually
but
when
it
they're
works.
little, they want to tell you everything.
Yeah, but
So,
when they become teenagers, then forget it. They don't want to say anything unless they want something. Then they're ready to talk. But same thing with your husband, and like engage him the same way. Take it in with your wife the same way, guys. If you're the one trying to engage the conversation, sometimes you just got to sit down face to face and start the conversation.
and don't fight about what you're going to do on date night.
No,
Just know that one of the two of you is more of a planner than the other one, or more of a person who will choose what to do and then do it. You don't have to hold a grudge like, why won't they ever do it? Because if Kevin held a grudge of why won't I ever do it, we wouldn't do anything, because he makes all the dates and that's what we do, and it works well.
yeah, and remember, each time it's not a win for you. Even with me deciding what we do most every week, I think about Kristen too. Like, what would she like to do? Where would she like to go?
Oh, yeah.
What would she like to eat and things like that? And there are days where we will do something that, trust me, is nothing I want to do.
Mhm.
On the other side of that, I'm sure she can tell you there are days we do things that are nothing she wants to do.
Absolutely.
So it is a give and take. Same thing with restaurants. Sometimes you go somewhere you really like. Sometimes you go somewhere they really like. Sometimes it's a win and both of you really like it. But those
Sometimes you've got your restaurants you won't go to also.
Yeah, there are places
I thought
yes.
we might have almost gone to a Thai restaurant the other day, but
we have been to Thai restaurants in our
we
lifetime.
did that when you were trying to make me happy for a while, and then you stopped.
Yeah, well, you know what? The only thing I eat there is pineapple fried rice, and I hate it.
I thought you liked pineapple fried
No,
rice.
no, I meant the restaurant.
Oh.
No, pineapple fried rice, I'm good.
Remember that little boat? And it was
the
a little
pineapple
spicy.
boat. Yeah, you can. I will say that is the one thing I like about Thai restaurants. You
Yeah,
got
you
that
can
scale. It's
Do
like,
any spice you want.
do you want it like a senior citizen can eat it, or do you want it like straight from hell? Or
You're not either of those.
like, I used to be more the straight from hell.
No, you're not.
But now, no, I'm like a 3.
Right in the middle.
3, I'm like, all right. If I go to a 4, which is like a happy, my stomach ain't gonna like that. So yes,
But if we are gonna
I
go to
guess
Thai-
as we get old, we move down the scale.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because it just doesn't taste as good, like when you're eating it. But let me tell you what, later, it's a lot better. So
Anyway, so I think to sum it up, date nights are not to be overwhelming, but they are to be protected.
yeah, and it is important. Those connections are important. That hour a week, 2 hours a week. You don't have to go out to have a date night. Do the hour, 2 hours a week where you're just focusing on one another, fostering conversation, learning the other one, listening. Just do it. Because unfortunately, lately, we have also seen a lot of bad things in people's relationships where those little foxes get in there and they just destroy things, And a lot of those things, I think we could just stop by putting that time in.
It's preventative.
It is.
It's like a
porn is a huge, huge problem.
And a lot
And
of
we
that
have
happens
read-
when they're alone. Like
Yes,
if you
that's
don't
what I was
go to
gonna
bed
say.
together,
That's right. If you just that alone, like going to bed together, can solve a lot of problems. It really, really can. It can get rid of temptations. It can get rid of some of that free time,
but it brings you close.
and it can bring you closer.
Yeah.
And those 3 things are huge.
And it's an easy win because you both have to go to bed.
Yeah.
Like it's an easy win. That's one of those like no-brainers. I always think that put in place those things that are easiest first.
Yeah.
If going out once a week sounds like, oh my gosh, that's so overwhelming. Okay, so what can you do in your day-to-day? You both go to sleep.
Yeah.
So go up together and close the door and stay in there together. Like that's an easy win.
Yeah, the old adage is what? Idle hands are of the devil or whatever.
I don't know, something like that.
But like literally it is like
Hands are the devil's.
work or something. I
Right.
forget what they are.
So,
But listen, when you have more time on your hands and you have things to do,
which in
when-
this day and age we do.
yeah, we really, really do. And when this is what we have in our hand, because everything is in here, that's not good.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I don't care what it is. it's not good. That is where the devil can get a foothold. That is where your mind can wander. That is where your eyes can wander. This thing is so smart. If you think about it, honestly, if you have slowed down looking at something, you are going to be inundated with whatever that is. It could have been innocent. It could have been whatever. And guess what? Not even that. It looks at you. It looks at what you buy. It looks at your age. It looks at all those things. And it puts things that AI says, you know what? This person would probably be interested in this, whether you've ever looked at it or not. It throws it right there. And many times when it throws that stuff in our face, we don't look away as quick as we should. Or we go down a rabbit's hole.
Actually, not anymore, because I have nothing, because I've been hacked out of everything. But when it did, it gave me cats. I had so many cat things, so it just knows I'm thinking about cats.
That's a sickness.
It's not.
But my wife did get me a snow leopard for my birthday, so now I have 2 snow leopards. She got me the little thing where I can track Rosie.
Rosie's her name.
Who is my snow leopard, who is in the Himalayas. Mm-hmm. And she
was on a mountain?
picks up. She's up in, what do we look? She's like 500 miles or so from, I think it was less than that, like 300 miles from Everest.
Yeah,
She's
it was
in the
really
Himalayas,
cool.
about 300 miles from Everest. So that was another cool gift my wife got.
I bought that for the Secret Santa gift this Christmas. Or no, the white elephant. I did a Secret Santa and a white elephant. Mm-hmm. And for the Secret Santa, I did for Tabby what was it? A gorilla. A gorilla. And she thought that was amazing. Mm-hmm. And I, by mistake, told her, like, it was a mistake. I didn't do it by mistake. But afterward, I realized, oops, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. I told her that I had gotten a second one for my white elephant, and I bought a sloth for someone. So whoever was going to get my white elephant gift.
Let me just say this. So that was Christmas. Has the sloth moved like one tree?
You have to ask her, because she...
Like literally one tree? I mean, it's a sloth.
Like, I don't know. We should find out. So,
it's been 3 months. He moved 100 feet.
We got to find out where her animals are. So she thought that was so great that she took my white elephant because she knew what was in it, because she wanted to get the sloth. So she took the gorilla, which I gave to her. She took the sloth, and then I think she ordered another one.
Yeah, I think she did.
But then I was on the mailing list. They never had the snow leopard, which is one of Kevin's favorite animals. So when it popped up in February, I was like, that's it. Birthday, he's getting a snow leopard. And I was ready.
So now we have 2. I have my Rocket and Rosie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. It worked out good.
And there's a new snow leopard here at the Buffalo Zoo. That will be a cool date night.
Oh, that will be so fun.
Because the zoo doesn't stay open at night.
It's not at night.
So date day, we'll go see the new snow leopard. And I saw yesterday there's a new tiger cub too.
Aww.
So new tiger, new snow leopard here at the Buffalo Zoo. So that's a cool thing to do for date day. And if you got kids, take your kids. It's okay. Like you can.
But the point
they will
is
be
connecting.
Engaged. You connect.
Like the point is connecting. So if you are taking your kids somewhere, it can't be a place that you are putting your 100% full attention on your kids the whole time. So like if you're in a car and they fall asleep, then you use that time to connect. If you are taking them to, like, we would take our kids to the Y when they were little, and they had like
an
hour and a half or something.
Like lock them into the play place,
which they loved,
and you could do whatever.
And then
you wanted.
we could just get a coffee and sit down and connect. You don't have to work out. You can sit and have a date there. I mean, you got to stay there, but you can't just see ya. Although
they did have those family
outings.
nights.
They did have outings.
Family nights.
And I do want to say one more thing. If you have kids, this was huge when my kids were little. Well, the Y hint was a big one. Or any gym that you're in, that's how I would shower, because our kids were very close in age. So I would take them and I would take a nice shower.
Thank Jesus. Thank you.
It was so lovely. But you can find other couples that want to have a night out, and once a month you can have them babysit all the kids. You drop off your kids at their house, and their kids are there, and they will babysit all the kids, and then you return the favor and you babysit all the kids so that they can go out once a month. So
Yeah, sometimes
do
you got to be creative.
a babysitting swap, and you can do like a real date night where you go out with no kids too.
Yeah.
So like, but you've got to work toward it. Like you have to be creative. You have to protect that and work toward it.
Yeah, and that's with everything. I mean, love itself is a verb. It's an action. You got to put in the work. It doesn't just occur.
And if
you
we're
have
saying
to work at it.
that-
Your marriage, you have to
Yep.
work at. Date night, you have to work at. Those boundaries with the kids, you have to work at.
But if God is our number one priority and you're my number two priority, why should I not make that effort?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
But that's about it
That's
for
a
this
wrap.
week. Next week, maybe we'll have somebody. I don't know. We've got a couple couples who want to come on and talk. We just got to make it happen and find the time for it. But yeah, if you get a chance, if you didn't come to the XO Marriage Conference, you can go to xonow.com, get a
Yes.
subscription. It's like $10 for a month. They have all the marriage conferences from
All their past.
this year, last year.
Yeah.
Everyone they've ever had is on there. You know what? $10, get it for a month
that would be a
and
great thing
spend
to
some
do for your
time
marriage.
watching it, working on your marriage. You know what? After the month, you're like, you don't want to do it. You don't want to spend another $10. It's okay. Cancel it. But you get that stuff. And let me tell you, this year, there were some really good ones.
Yeah. Last year too.
Yeah. Joshua Broom, Porn Star to Pastor.
JP
There's
Pokluda was good.
so much good in that. JP Pokluda, Stuck to Unstuck. You know, those two probably my favorite. And Morgan
Morgan Cutlip was the sex one, I think. Mandy
Arioto.
Arioto.
Mandy Arioto was the one about embracing the awkward.
Yeah,
And that,
Lots of good stuff.
like, that'll change your life.
And then we
That'll
are
change
going to
your
have
marriage.
a retreat coming up in May.
Yeah, more details on that coming soon. We're headed down to couples camp again in Cincinnati the last week in April. We are leading a site. It was amazing last year. Fun fact, we're doing vertical marriage on our Thursday group. I read that last year at couples camp. We talked about it. We decided to do it this semester for our Thursday group. And last week they announced that the authors of Vertical Marriage are going to be at couples camp. So that was kind of crazy for me because it's one of those instances where God's like, oh, Kevin, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this.
very
It can be
cool.
a book, a podcast, a song, a sermon, whatever. If God's got something to say to me, he keeps saying it, and he will do the same for you. He doesn't just say things once. He makes sure it gets your attention. But if you have nothing to do the last week of April, want to come hang out with us and a couple thousand other people,
They can email
1,000
you, right?
other couples,
And get
yeah, email us, kevin@marriageandthebuff.com. I'd love to talk to you about it. You can get us there for anything, but like the podcast, subscribe,
and
leave
send
us a review.
questions at that email.
send us any questions. But yeah, kevin@marriageandthebuff.com is the best way to get in touch with us. And
or
that,
just comment because
Yeah,
can,
just
I think
comment.
you can comment questions.
yeah, you
too.
can comment on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, have a great week.
Bye.
See you next week.